What are your best memories from last year? I know you had quite the chilly jump in the pond at the end.
Probably best memory last year was jumping into the pond with my entire team. I think that was just a really cool moment for us, and with all the hard work and all the chatter around it possibly being my 5th in a row, just having like that moment together was just so much fun. I have not seen the golf course yet, so I can't talk to how the golf course is playing. I got in yesterday afternoon from LA, but I know that they have received a bit of rain throughout the past week. So, yeah, we'll see how the golf course is playing, if it's playing longer. Maybe, the last year the greens were a little newer, so they weren't as receptive. So we'll see how it's playing this year, but I can't talk to how the golf course is playing just yet.
But you can talk to the Champions Dinner last night. Just how enjoyable was that whole experience, picking the menu, having your Czech flavor within the menu, working with Thomas Keller?
It was so much fun. Chef Keller was so great to work with, and then having all of us together in the room, the past champions, and sat at a table with Julie Inkster, and she's always so much fun to be around, and just all of us getting together was just so great. And then obviously getting to work with Thomas Keller was a dream come true, once in a lifetime opportunity. I don't think I've ever played a golf course where it's played the same the year prior to the year we're at. So going around, seeing how how the greens are rolling, seeing if, they've changed a couple of tees. Sometimes that's what they like to throw in. They like to make the golf course longer, or they like to make it a little bit more interesting. So trying to definitely just plot our way around and seeing, what our game plan for the week is going to be. It's just going to be the same like it is every week, even if it was a new golf course.
4 in a row coming in here last year, still playing incredibly solid at the moment, still number 1. Mm-hmm. Are there things in your game this week compared to the last 4 or 5 events that need to click for you to defend your championship?
Yeah, I think I saw some improvements in my game last week with my irons. Definitely felt a little bit more comfortable with that, and then just need my putter to kind of click a little bit more to make those putts. I think that's kind of where it's been lacking, is the putts that I was making last year. I'm just not making as many this year, but I think that's just golf. I've gone through waves like this before, and if I just continue working at it, hopefully it does click.
How do you expect the rest of the season to go for you, not just for your golf game, but also for your mental, especially going into the CMA Group Championship at the end of the season?
Yeah, I'm hoping, my mindset every week is one shot at a time, and that's kind of what I've always had, and I'm not going to look too far ahead, and I'm definitely not going to reminisce about the past, because, the past is the past. It's not going to really help me in the future or in the present, so I'm just going to stay very present.
Take a look at the season comparison for Nelly from last year versus this year, and you'll notice not a big difference in strokes gained total driving comparable, greens in regulation, putts per round, or scoring average first. It's the wins, though. 7 last year, none so far this season. She's made 5 starts. Eamon has a couple of top 10s, has a runner-up finish. I imagine it's tough to get momentum going in kind of a scattershot schedule. She did last year, though, in terms of the wins. Those haven't come, but I imagine they will shortly.
Yeah, and the 2 top 10s she had were actually in her first 2 starts of the year. She was second in the Hilton event starting her season. Hasn't actually been better than T16 in her last 3 starts. But there is momentum on this particular golf course.
Yeah.
This is only the 3rd year they've played here. She won last year. She was 3rd the year before that. So in a way, she's kind of mirroring Scottie Scheffler again. They both were compared so often last year, such dominant number 1s, winning so often out there, and neither one of them has so far won this year, heading into the first major of their respective tours. But we had Beth Ann on the show yesterday, and Beth Ann seems to think that Nelly is getting closer and closer to actually nailing that victory, and I don't think anyone pays more attention to what Nelly Korda is doing and how she's trending than Beth Ann Nichols. So maybe she's onto something for this week, but she certainly doesn't seem to lack confidence. She doesn't feel as though she's struggling in any respect. And I suppose in some ways it's difficult coming off a year like that to separate the process that you're in this year from the actual results, because you're always going to be compared to a year like she had last year.
Amazing how similar Scottie Scheffler and Nelly Korda are in a lot of ways, I think, including their dedication to their process, their tendency not to panic. There's not a lot of panic around the Scottie Scheffler camp. He talks about sticking to his process and getting closer and closer. And I think Nelly, very similar. And I think Amy Rogers' piece on golfchannel.com speaks to that process and the trust that she has in her team and the people she's put around her that spend day and night doing everything they can to make sure Nelly is ready to go, and the hours that it takes in the gym, on the practice tee, on the putting green, and doing what it takes to be great. You don't win 7 times, in a season by accident. She's a transcendent player, a generational player, and I feel like as we get into the meat of the season, we'll be like, oh yeah, she's back to hoisting trophies, because the numbers aren't that far off.
Yeah, and it really is a prime example of this, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Right.
Attitude out there. I mean, it all worked last year. There's no reason to think it won't actually click into gear for her this year as well. She is clearly a little bit impatient with her putter, but that's the only impatience that we're actually seeing out of Nelly Korda right now. She's not playing badly. The problem is when you're being judged against this extraordinary performance that she put in for 2024, almost everything's going to look like a slump. And, if Nelly Korda had won once or twice coming into the Chevron, well, it was going to be, well, you'd won 4 times last year. And the same with Scottie Scheffler. If you'd only won once or twice, well, you did twice as good last year heading into the Masters. It's the bar they're setting for themselves is very difficult to sustain. And to me, that's what makes the great players so remarkable. When you see what a Tiger Woods did year after year and a Lorena Ochoa do year after year, it set that bar and keep winning multiple times every year. It's not particularly easy, but Nelly's not alone. None, with the sole exception of Lydia Ko in Singapore earlier this year, none of the sort of standout superstars of the LPGA Tour have actually won this year.
Right. It's a deep tour, a talented tour. I think of Lilia Vu. I think of Gino Titikan, who we heard from earlier in a sit-down with Amy Rogers. Nelly, obviously, as well. This is a player you got to build around. And I think the LPGA, we've talked about it last year also, about this unique opportunity with this player from an incredibly talented athletic family who has a sister who's an LPGA winner and a brother who's a top player in tennis, parents who are great tennis players, including a father who won a slam. This is a pillar to build around. This is a star to build around. And I hope the LPGA, and I hope by her play, is able to take advantage of how unique and important and popular this player could potentially be.